Often we say, if Jesus were just here, or conversely, if I were back there in that situation, I certainly would have been one of those who said, yes, this is Jesus. I want to follow him. I want to see what happens here. I'm really interested in this. Faith would be easy if Jesus were walking right here, or I were walking right there. Not so. The gospel story is full of people who are curious, who come, some who turn away. There's the rich young man whom Jesus invited, come closer, come listen. Hey, what's your question? What do I need to do to be saved, he says. Well, what's the book say? In other words, the Old Testament. What's the Old Testament say? Well, there's all these commandments. And, well, I have been keeping them. I have been keeping them all quite well. Just one more thing, Jesus says. Go sell what you have, give it to the poor, and then come follow me. Because you see, Jesus had seen into his heart, not just the surface things that everybody else could see. Jesus saw that he was in love with money, with possessions. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart. The first commandment. You see, he thought he was keeping it, but he wasn't. There it is. Then the scripture says, he turned away sorrowful, or dismayed, as some translations have it, because he had many possessions. So we have to contrast that story of someone coming up and then turning around with someone who is persistent, like the Syrophoenician woman. There's one, an absolute outsider, okay? Not a person of Israel at all, a foreigner. Jesus and a woman. Normal discourse would never be to talk with a woman without a male accompaniment there. That's just simply improper. Jesus seems to do that quite freely all over the place. Those kind of conventions don't bother him at all because he talks to her directly. She has a question for him. I know that you can heal. Well, who are you? You're one of the dogs. You're one of the outsiders. You're not of Israel. Why should I pay any attention to you? Yes, but even the dogs get to eat the crumbs that fall under the table, she replies. Now, some would say, oh, she's just being forward, she's being brash, bold, that kind of thing. No, what Jesus is doing is leading her along, drawing her along in this conversation to faith, so that she can say, I believe you are the Christ. You can do, you can heal, you can reach out to me. There's room for me at your table. And Jesus finally says, yes, there is. You're it. You're in. You've got it. It's not a matter of genealogical origin. It's a matter of faith. You hear that word, you respond to it, you're in. I think that there's the contrast. Someone who comes up and turns away. Someone who comes up and comes closer. And Jesus says, yes. Jesus is always ready to say yes to someone who will respond, no matter what kind of background. I think that's powerfully good news for us. There are the many times when we come up to the edge also and don't know whether to take that next step forward. We don't know. We're not sure. You see, we don't hear that Jesus condemned the one who turned away, the rich young man who turned away sorrowful. We don't know whether he may have turned around later and come back again for another take at it. Perhaps he did. That's the kind of thing that the gospel leaves us with all over the place. That kind of question. Well, what happened next? We don't know. Could he have, might he have come back again? See, Jesus doesn't shut the door on anyone like that. There's still that possibility he could have come back later. Wonderful. Good news for them and for us.